Hello and welcome, guys. Today I want to talk about a topic that's rising a bit. And when I say rising a bit, rising topic, I'm of course talking about Stephen King's It, Chapter 2. And I just want to review, give my views on some things and everything in this video. So stick around. I am David White with Rising Pheonix, and let's just get right into what I thought about Stephen King's It Chapter 2. For those watching this, I'm sure you've probably seen the first one, maybe even the two old ones. I've seen all of them personally, and I gotta say I loved what Tim Curry did with everything, but right now I'm trying to base solely just on the Chapter 2 part. And I'm trying to think where to start. But for those who probably doesn't know it, I guess the basic topic, the basic thing of everything of the video, or the movies, is there's a world destroyer that's named Pennywise the Clown, or he's the embodiment of the Deadlights. And that goes into a whole another universe of things. But, you know, pretty much in the first one, the Losers Club, consisting of all pretty much the outcasts at school and everything, come together as friends, and they fought Pennywise as kids. And in the second one, they're living up to their promise they made and returning to take care of it, Pennywise, for good, for like all the rest of the time on everything. So with that being said, I wanted to point out that there's probably a lot of spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen It Chapter 2 yet, I do want to warn, is spoiler, because of course, like the title says, it's a review on my take on everything. But I want to start off with their imagery for the very first scene of going back to Derry and everything was, in my opinion, very brutal, but I mean, back then it was pretty historically accurate. I mean, with the gay couple and the one getting killed and all that stuff, they just had a really interesting depiction about it. I liked how they did it. It was very I'm trying to think of the word. It was very gruesome, but very time essential, for the time period. And then I guess the next part I'd like to explain is, you know, we start off as well with being introduced to all the loser clubs as adults, and their approach for this movie that's different from the old one is, on this one, they made it to where when all of them left Derry, they lost all their memories, all their lessons they learned pretty much, and essentially forgot about it and everything else with Derry. Only one kid stayed there and was the one that actually ended up telling the rest of them of its return. And I kind of like the old movie aspect on that one a little bit more, to where, you know, they didn't lose their memories or anything. As soon as they were talking on the phone and everything about it, they knew who it was. They were freaking out, knew that they had to take care of it and everything else and get there and do what they can. On the new one, however, there's quite a few catch-up scenes to where the adults have to be reminded, you know, who's calling them, why he's calling, and how events are all put together so that they all make an approach to get over there. And also on the old one, they kept in the new one that I liked was Stan ended up killing himself. He didn't go, which was kind of interesting. I know there's a lot of fan theories and everything about how the movie ended and how it's explained. But to be honest, I don't know how I thought about some of those ones. Some of them made sense, some of them didn't. They kind of made it twisted where it was like Stan didn't really kill himself, but he did. You know, I don't know, it's just ridiculous stuff. But then, you know, we go a little bit further into the movie, and the thing I like that they enhanced on that I'm glad they brought back and kind of remade from the old one was the Chinese restaurant scene with the losers meeting at the Chinese restaurant, and they all end up experiencing things on the table, and everything was pretty much what was in the original, but they just kind of put a new twist on it. So like on the original one, like there was an eye and stuff, you know, kind of poor CGI stuff. But on the new one, they had really good animation and effects on how the fortune cookies broke open, and how they just gave a better rendition of fear through all those, and it was really, really cool. And they all eventually end up seeing all these. They slowly start remembering. And one thing I do like that they added on this one is that's different from the original. Pretty much that they didn't really explain too much of why the kids were going back to these areas and, you know, reliving events to do what they had to do. And on the new one, they had to go to these separate areas during their summertime that they did as a kid, so that would help spark their memories more about it, what it is, you know, what it's all caused, what it's all done. And they all had to get their memorabiliums. I don't know how you want to say that one. And I like that. I thought that was a very interesting one, how they did that one. I like how they had more of the effects added in and all that stuff. We got to see a little bit more of how Richie was and what he experienced with the big statue and his fear of everything, and it was really cool. We kind of got the backstories from when they were kids and things that they experienced when they weren't with one another. They went in more detail, and I thought that was really, really cool too. And when they all went off to do their thing, to remember what they did through the summer and everything, one of the things I really liked, they still kept coming to some of the comical value and comical stuff from the old one, when it was Tim Curry as Pennywise, Ben with his crush on Beverly and all that stuff. They showed a clip kind of what he went through to remember his stuff, and they actually brought back the saying I thought was always funny was "Kiss me, fat boy." You know, it's just really, really funny, and I'm glad they brought that back. And they had another one of Beep Beep Richie. On the first one, I'm pretty sure only the old fans got the reference. Everyone else was probably confused on it. But, you know, they probably could have explained that one a little bit more of why they say Beep Beep Richie instead of just throwing it in there. Like, you know, here's a memorabilium from, you know, the original one. And I think it would have been a little bit better if they kind of like showed the kids actually using Beep Beep Richie. I think they actually did one scene in chapter 2. I saw it when on the release day that it came out in theaters on the 6th. I've been trying to get this video out to you guys for a little bit. I kept trying to think how to approach it, and finally I was just like, here, let's do it this way. So here we are. When they were all separate as well, they showed Bev going back to her house. But I must say, that scene that you see in the trailers is even better in the actual movie, with the old lady in the tea time and, you know, everything. And they actually did a pretty good job on kind of creating a fear out of old lady for tea time. Not only the stare, but, you know, you'd have to see the movie for me, like, to understand the explanation of it. But when she's peeking around the corner, going in the kitchen or coming back, and she comes at Bev, it's actually it's funny but scary, I guess. I mean, they're kind of graphic with it, so it's kind of like a really like a taller, older lady, naked, with a distorted face, body slowly deteriorating, just comes charging at Bev, and that part was really good. I'm trying to remember which kid it was for the next one that I'm trying to explain. They did another really good scare where I'm pretty sure it was this thing crawling from under the bed. Oh yeah, it was for the bully when they were kids. It shows him in the asylum bar escape, and he gets charged at by his dead friend. And I think almost everybody in the theater jumped at that part, and it was kind of funny and kind of cool how they tied that in. And, you know, of course, he ended up jumping out, and And I feel like it's a very good productive story. I think it was like almost 3 hours, but some things felt a little slow. But as soon as it ended up continuing through, I could see where it was taking parts from the old movie and parts of the book that I've heard about, because I haven't read the book in ages. And I like that their like final form of Pennywise, the creature and everything, was how they approached that. It was really cool, but we'll get into that here in a few. I forgot a couple other details, but I like how they learned and studied to how to get rid of Pennywise in the new one, because the old one was kind of misleading. They just kind of renditioned in like werewolves out of nowhere. But on the new one, it's the Mike who actually stayed in Derry and everything. He went and talked to a tribe, and their ancestors told him about how far back that this Destroyer of Worlds, Pennywise, whatever you want to call it, goes back to. And he actually partook in like some of their, and when he was a part of participating in the Native American tribe with all their rituals and stuff that they do, and he learns more about the history, how it came to the world, was a really good approach, I think, on their part of everything. And that's, when you learn about a ritual that should take care of the creature. And so I liked how they incorporated that more than the old one, where they just kind of slingshotted Silver at the final form. And the ritual is what leads us into actually them separating, figuring out what they did with their summer and everything to find their pretty much sacrificial piece to use for the ritual. And it's funny because within that we get to see a lot of cool things. We get to see what Ben built when he was a kid for the Losers Club. You get to visit Bev, going to her house. You get to visit a memory Richie had in the arcade, and how his true feelings are towards Stan. And it was really cool how they approached that one and put it together. But at this time, this was the cool part, one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. I know it sounds weird, but there's a part where Bill is walking down, trying to figure himself out with stuff, and he runs across a silver bullet bike, which, if some of you may know, in the original, that's what they used to help melt down a little bit and make their silver pieces to use against Pennywise. But he goes in there, and Stephen King makes a cameo in this part of the movie, and it's just funny. It just brought back so many memories of watching all of other Stephen King's movies, where he just kind of makes these subtle appearances in there, and at the same time he's sticking to everything else, because Bill was a writer, his ending sucked on his books, and Stephen King points him out on it, and it's just really cool. And they finally all end up getting back together with all their pieces. Mike brings in the ritual triangle thing that apparently is going to trap this creature away forever. And they then again make the descent and the travel, going through the old house and finding the entrance to the well, which then leads to the sewer systems. So for this time, we get to see some more of the scenes from the first movie, just changed, where Pennywise's little dancing scene thing is. That structure thing is no longer up, and it's been flooded out a little bit, and they have to go down a little bit deeper, and they end up running into Pennywise as the giant alien creature thing, still with the clown head, which was a lot better than the CGI from the original, and crazy evil giant spider. I don't know what was with that, but they do the ritual to try and seal him away and try to keep him away. But apparently Mike, at this time, you find out he didn't tell him all about the truth of the ritual. And my review on that one was kind of pointless anyway, because then they actually tell you about how, last people that did it didn't succeed either. Yeah, it's just kind of some dumb stuff. But anyways, Stephen King cameo was awesome. And when they're getting back to the lair to fight it for the last time, they all get separated into their own demons, so to speak, their inner things that are keeping them from pretty much growing up and moving on with life. And at this point is where we see them all get put in their areas that they've been teased at or they can't let down. And at this point, Bev gets put into the bathroom with blood coming up. And another cool thing on this is some more Stephen King books make it into that scene. Like, they have a Shining reference coming through the door while there's blood coming up, the drowner. And Ben gets put in the secret hideout that he made when he was a kid. And then Richie and not Stanley, bear with me, I'm trying to remember all at once, but they get put back into the haunted house part, and they got to choose doors and all this stuff. And pretty much their review of that part was like, it was kind of cool how they're incorporating how they have to overcome their own past mistakes and issues that they have with people and things they went through, that the only way they're going to be getting through it and away from it is to overcome it. And then, like a lot of big endings of movies, they all realize, overcome their demons. I mean, Bill gets put in the basement, this time in the water from the first movie instead of on the stairs. And Pennywise tries to use Georgie against him to kind of pretty much make him self-guilt. But it's all in his head. But I thought that was really cool how we got to see that part of what he blames himself for and everything. We kind of see every part of the Losers Club, like their issues with stuff and what they had to overcome, and they eventually bring it into this huge conclusion at the end that they've overcome all their fears and things that they held against themselves and now can destroy this destroyer of worlds, and I mean, personally, the ending was really cool, like animated wise, and the meaning behind it was really cool. I mean, pretty much it ended them with overcoming all of their fears, all their personal things that they were holding against themselves, to where now Pennywise has no way to destroy them with stuff, and they pretty much are like, hey, bullying's okay, and they start bullying Pennywise until he's just really teeny tiny, and they end up killing him by his heart dissolving, But like I said, there's tons of spoilers I'm saying in this video, so sorry, warned you, I guess. And that's how they end up destroying him. He kind of disintegrates into this flappy looking clown thing instead of a big monster, because they bullied it down to this little innocent thing and destroyed it. It's kind of sad, but then again, I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying, oh, I bet they make a part 3. I don't know how they're going to do that, but people say it might be possible with everything. Since I pretty much reviewed most of the story, I kind of want to talk about the characters they chose for the adult selves, which is a cool way of how they did it. The kids from the first movie, I dug in a little bit before watching it, because I've been waiting all year for this release of it, Stephen King's It Chapter 2. So I was reading on it and everything, and it said I found a story thing about how the kids were actually the ones who chose the adult actors, or tried to reach out to the adult actors they wanted to play as them in the second part of the movie. And as I read on that and all those things, the actors actually agreed to what the kids wanted, and they got put in there, and I think they did pretty good. Bill Hader, though, on one side of me, I'm like, Bill Hader's great. Seen him on SNL. I've seen him on this and this. But they've never been drama or horror. So I have to give Bill Hader props, because he did really good for his first horror movie. And he added just enough of the quirky humor that Richie had as a kid. Actually, I think really they all chose a really good adult to play them in the part 2. I don't know, I guess my overall review is that I thought was really good. They told a really good story through everything. I would say it was probably just a tad longer than I was expecting, but it was still just as great. I don't know what else to really talk about with reviewing it. I mean, there was some. I wish I could like pop scenes up here or here, whatever, and kind of put them together for y'all and give examples. But I just don't think they'd be very happy about me doing that on YouTube. So I know other bigger channels are doing it, but hey. But yeah, I think they did pretty good on it. I mean, I'd give it out of like a 9 out of 10 because they could have put a little more things in there to make it a lot better. It wasn't really bad, and I'm glad they stuck to a lot of the stuff from the original because I really liked the original, and I saw the first one and I'm like, oh yeah, this new one's great. And then they came out part 2, and I was kind of hoping they would add some of the things from the original in there, and altogether it was just really cool. I mean, I know there was some Easter eggs and stuff in there about like in the fun house. It was like the clowns were kind of decorated like the original Pennywise with Tim Curry, so it was really cool. I mean, as a fan and watching the original series multiple times and watching the new series, I must say they stuck really good with it, and that I enjoyed it really well. It was a good watch. And when I was hearing about part 2, I was just sitting there deciphering, like, oh, they should have this scene in there. They should keep this one in there. I kind of want to see this one revamped. And they kept 2 or 3 things in there that I thought was really cool. Especially the Kiss Me Fat Boy one, because that was one of my favorite lines from the original one on part 2. I mean, besides Tim Curry's jokes about, is your refrigerator running and all that stuff. I don't know, Tim Curry just always had a funny bone on his version of Pennywise. But yeah, I think that's about my sum up of everything. I still give it a really good reading. I'd probably watch it again. And I'm hoping that you guys like this new approach to the channel. Took a while to rebrand it, and now we're going to be doing traveling, paranormal reviews, and folklore. More videos for more opportunities for personality instead of always a paranormal personality on it. That's just one of the many things I like doing, and I tried to bring it all together. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. If you did and you want to see more of these videos, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button down here, or I'll put it up here somewhere. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And, and be looking forward to more stuff in the future that's more of a variety for what anyone could possibly be interested in, from travel to reviews to reaction videos to paranormal investigations to folklore to research. Just a lot of things. I just kind of want to expand a little bit and everything, but I do want to thank you guys for watching this video. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of the new movie if you've seen it, or what your thoughts in general are on what I had to say. I mean, I love talking to people about really good movies, so thank you guys so much for watching, and till next time, stay on the rise.